So welcome to the Diary of a CTO. My guest today is Andrew Winnicki, Director of Technology and Data for Hacklet and Company. Andrew, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. I would say delicious even.
Delicious. Oh, that's a lovely adjective for this time. Well, it is Christmas, I guess.
Yes.
Cool. Well, really great to have you here today, mate. So Andrew, you are the technology leader. You've got like 25 years experience building, scaling, transforming digital products across industries such as media, fintech, SaaS, and enterprise environments. You've led engineering and technology functions in places like NVIDIA, Discovery Plus, CarWow, and obviously CTO in a number of different organizations. So much experience to bring to the table today. So thank you very much for coming in to have a chat with us. But please, before we get on to the theme today of leadership and transformation, talk us through a little bit about your background, how it all started for you in technology, and how we've got to where we are today.
Yeah, so my name is Andrew, as you know already. So my history goes far, far beyond 25 years. My first website I was working on, I was inspired by my brother, who did some minor HTML, CSS work back then, and he created a website, and I got inspired and started kind of tinkering with it.
Okay.
And that's really how it started. Just slowly there, just doing this for pleasure. I did a website for my father's business, like 10 different versions. They're all crappy, and I've got actually copies of them. And I just look at them, think like, that's the long.
How far you've come.
Yeah.
Did you teach yourself to code? Was it
Yeah.
self-taught?
Yeah, and back then, really, you couldn't find anything on the internet.
Yeah.
There was no resources, and the Dreamweaver was the tool that was doing everything.
Dreamweaver, wow.
That was the tool.
That is old school, yeah.
Yeah. So that started back in 1995-ish, somewhere there. And I did for quite a couple of years, just a freelance work, one-man army superhero doing literally everything, mostly for businesses like small website, marketing websites.
Yeah.
And I moved to the UK, where my first job was actually supposed to be in sales, which is interesting because I'm horrible at sales. But very quickly, I built a whole internet website and started managing eBay sales and those kind of things. And very quickly, that evolved to be something I properly enjoy more than like a professional level within the company. And very soon after, I've been headhunted, which I found surprising at that early stage, by NVIDIA. And funnily is, I joined as a designer, not as a software engineer. Half a year later, I switched totally into software engineering. Somebody else took the job of designer, and very quickly, I ended up with a team of 6. So that was first European engineering. Back then, it was just development team.
Yeah.
And I spent there 6 years. Then moving towards something different, which was Yell.com. Mm-hmm. I literally joined at the moment when they fired half of the company, and I was asking myself question, what the hell I'm doing here? A little bit scary, but it went really well. We scaled very quickly, very fast, and I ended up leading a team of 15 front-end engineers. And that's my experience. Like, at heart, I'm a front-end engineer. I can do it all, design, product, back-end, data, whatever you ask me, I can do it through the experience. But if you ask me, where's my love and expertise, I would say I'm a front-end engineer.
Okay.
Just go there.
And within, it's quite a rarity, isn't it, to find somebody that has the analytical engineering eye as well as the design eye as well, even within front-end engineers. Obviously, is a very separate skill set. So is that always something that's come naturally to you in terms of the design piece as well as the actual coding and engineering side?
I always thought that my dream job would be a designer until I discovered that engineering is more fun, especially in the front end, because it connects the visual part where I feel very comfortable with, and I can do a lot of things myself, design a lot of things myself. But then I have the joy of building something out of nothing that actually do things rather than just look, make things alive. And that's really what drew me into front end. And I was always laughing that back-end engineering is very important, but it's very ungrateful.
Yeah.
Because if something goes wrong, everybody complains. If everything is fine, cool. That's how it's supposed to be. We're in the front and there's more visual feedback and aspect of it. So
very true. Yeah.
That's where I really enjoy it. It's like making things look and work at the same time.
Yeah, fair dues, fair dues. Okay, cool. And then how did you sort of progress your career from there into, well, you've obviously been in management positions at this point, leading teams, like you said, of 15 people. But what was your thoughts sort of after Yale?
Yeah, after Yale, I quickly decided to explore something different, contracting within bank environment, which was around 8-9 months. I did not find it interesting, that's why probably I never really got into contracting roles. I just don't enjoy the temporary aspect of it. I like to be embedded for a long time and build something and see how it grows and head with the growth. And just after this, Discovery came in, which was a massive step because I wasn't really looking for that kind of role. And it was a role of leading 4 technology teams. So it was TVs, web, iOS, and Android. I have zero experience with iOS and Android and barely any understanding of TVs. So for me, the role was very big. And the role was to come in, figure out what is happening in the team, why nothing has been delivered on time for a very, very long time, where we are with the technology, how we can transform the ways we're working, because there's a lot of bottlenecks and challenges, and figure out how to make it a permanent team, because it was a team of 30 plus engineers only on the contract basis, hired by non-technical people most of the cases and most of the time. And my role was to basically figure out all of it. And we ended up restructuring the team, bringing team on board permanently, but also bringing a lot of fresh engineers into the role. And we ended up with a team of around 40 engineers and engineering managers. So bring some kind of structure and most importantly, change the ways we work in, which was showing how we can work in this Kanban Scrum mixed style, because I never enjoyed the proper Scrum. I think it's too rigid. Kanban requires a very specific type of people. So my idea was to bring it something different that's going to be ultra efficient. And when it happened, we start doing cross-functional teams. Really, things start speeding up, and we start delivering and over-delivering on things, which was a massive improvement to the past, where things were always delayed and there was always excuse and there was always some challenges after releases. Now things start slowly moving forward smoothly. So
interesting.
It was a great transformation project for me from all the aspects.
Absolutely, yeah. And when you mentioned there that you started to look for a particular type of person that was maybe more aligned to a Kanban way of working rather than more of a rigid, agile fashion, what was that for you? Was it sort of an attitude, mindset, level of experience? What lens were you looking at that through in terms of the people that you were bringing in to create that environment?
I'm looking for people who are not afraid to take responsibility. And I always say, do something and ask for forgiveness rather than ask for permission. As long as people are capable of communicating well, giving a heads up, making sure that people who should know about something know about it, that's enough, because rarely those people need to be asked for permission. So having this mind of, I'm closest to the problem, is very lucky I'm the best person to know exactly how to solve it. I will just make sure I will go with it and communicate clearly. And if somebody wants to stop me at this point, they can stop me. And that's really where it changes the dynamics, where the teams can be very independent and they can really move forward without red tape and bunch of approvals to do anything.
Nice.
And that spans beyond into processes, deployment process. It shouldn't require gazillion of people clicking the button. Yes, I agree. It should be fairly simple just to get things out to live, and engineers should have power to do it literally anytime. So that's like the ideal setup. And then they can work as teams and make things very efficient and very easy.
Nice. So the really nice sort of blend of establishing autonomy but collaboration at the same time and communication. So, okay, that's interesting and refreshing to hear that. Again, it's more of a mindset and attitude thing more so than specific experience. But I totally agree with you and can see how that would work really well. Cool. And then where did you go from there?
So Discovery ended. I ended up in Carwow for a very short period of time in their platform and data team. And after that, I was craving something very different. So my history, if you look on my CV, my history spans across different industries. And this is what I, at some point, start feeling weird about. Maybe that's a bad idea, that I'm segmented. But now from the perspective, I know why, because I get bored in one place. Right. And I know people who are stuck in one area only because that's their whole experience. I've got actually a friend who been doing TV related work, media players and those kind of things for 10 years. And he's got a challenge to find something beyond that because he's an expert. He's really good at what he's doing, but it's a very narrow field. He's going to be paid well, but it's hard to actually do something else. So for me, the benefit of where I've been is I can bring different knowledge, different experience, different attitude from all those places.
Yeah.
And this is really what I was looking for, something different. And I wanted to try, I've been in the business, in the enterprise, NVIDIA, which was 10,000 employees back then. Now I think they're like 14. And I went slowly, gradually down and ended up as co-founder of Omnevue for 3.5 years, where my role was to figure out what the business is trying to achieve, see if we can build the tech around it, how that's going to look like, and how we're going to get there. This was the role of me joining for the first month, really understanding why we're doing everything on Excel spreadsheet, because it was a matter of collecting the data and proving that we can have the input and create the output. Moving forward, how are we going to build the tech? Is it even possible? And then bring the team on board slowly. We went through the funding round, which we secured over, I think, like £2 million, which was amazing in the early stage. We build the team and build the product and get it out and start playing with, of course, things like AI, having the challenge there. And yeah, 3.5 years later, unfortunately, the things did not go as we were hoped for. Mostly due to EU regulations, which have been removed, which was really driving a lot of potential in the business. And, once the regulations disappeared, all the customers decided we can wait. The problem with startups is they usually can't wait. So that created friction. And I left at some point, leaving a capable team behind who were still working on the project. But I believe the company is just about to be officially closed on the paper and it's gone. So that's a rough experience. Shame to build something for 3 years and ended up that didn't lead to, a spike of $1 billion valuation and, earning a lot just from the fraction of shares owned.
It's always a shame to hear that, isn't it, about any company that doesn't succeed. But I guess, you ultimately have to chalk it down as an experience, right? And a learning curve. What would you say were some of the key learns that you took from, working these sort of behemoth, kind of NVIDIA, Yale.com to then starting something from grassroots up as a CTO? What were some of the key learns that you took from that whole journey, even though things didn't quite work out the way you hoped?
I think the biggest benefit from me, despite the fact that I was in big companies, in all of them, I had the startup feel, in particular in my area. So it did not feel very, very different. I think this came from the situation that even Discovery, I had amazing bosses throughout the journey, were first of all very supportive, but were also very open and trusting me. So I could actually play a lot. And for me, I was smiling at some point. I remember the conversation with somebody. I was saying that throughout my career, around 80% of the things I'm doing are the things I decided I will do. And the 20% of the things are the things I have to take care of as part of my role because somebody else asked me. So lots of things were already in the startup mentality in my head of just finding the problem, finding the solution, selling it in the business, and literally then just go and do it.
Yeah. From
re-architecture to email marketing systems implementation and lots of other things for different companies. And it's been a pattern literally through all my career, which is good. When I joined startup, it's not very different. I'm just starting from scratch.
Yeah.
But there is nothing to worry about. There's no transition. I'm starting with a blank canvas. So finally, I don't have to deal with the legacy coding languages which have been there forever or the limitation of the infrastructure. We can just put whatever we want in place, which is let's do the default in this case in Omnevue was let's do everything JavaScript. And then if we ever need anything else beyond that, we'll think about it. And later we needed it, but it just very simplified the whole platform across front end and the back end.
Nice. It's great that you kind of always had that lens that you're looking through the world of, and I do agree that the companies that have the better cultures, be them startups, scale-ups or larger corporate, enterprises are the ones that do allow people, I guess you earn the right to have that autonomy by being good and delivering ultimately, but do allow people to do their best work in an autonomous way. So that's nice to hear that you kind of have always been able to maintain that lens. Would you, looking back now in retrospect, without hopefully this being too much of a painful question, I don't want this to be too cathartic, but would you have done anything differently in your time at Omnevue now, looking back over that experience for those 3 years?
We made some technical choices which were not the best one, because we, just give you an example, we planned the backend infrastructure for scale, which never came, and that came with some headaches. So that's some technical decisions we could do better. There was some AI exploration we did, which we were learning back then. We explored things that did not pan out the way we expected. Shame that we could save actually a few months of work. But I think the biggest chunk of the most important learning out of it was stop chasing perfection, where what we're trying to build is going to be the most accurate, the most amazing platform, which is a good goal, to not sacrifice the quality and values of the company.
Yeah.
But that's not what customers wanted. We can have the most amazing attitude towards what we were building and be very proud of it. But customer will say, I actually don't care. I just want to tick a box and I'm going to pay for it. It's finding the balance between those two things. And I think in some of the cases, maybe we chase a little bit too much, too hard, this absolutely accurate data, which were time consuming, where customers, in probably 90%, they wanted something that is fairly accurate, but they didn't care about the ultimate accuracy, not yet at least. So we could build something very simple, smaller, which brings the customers, which builds the portfolio of customers and opportunities, and bring the money right here, right now, and then slowly evolve it down the line. We took it a little bit mixed approach to it, and I think that's something that we could save another probably half year of our work just on this level. So
yeah,
it's just trying to. It's hard sometimes to balance the value and what we want to truly believe in it and how we want to execute it versus what actually market cares. And they don't care about our feelings or wishes. They just want something particular. So finding this gap.
Such a good point. Balancing that pragmatism, because you tend to find a lot of the better engineers, a lot of the better kind of technical leaders are people that, they do understand best practice, right? And they do understand how to build things in the right way. And they don't want to sacrifice quality because, like I said, ultimately they're thinking further down the line about scalability and all the other issues of obviously not wanting things to fall over. But like you said, in the startup world of the ability to get something out there that's maybe less than perfect and iterate on it, that balancing act is so fine, isn't it? And thinking about looking at it through the lens of what is a great product in the eyes of the customer, as well as ensuring that we're, as I say, working in best practice and using the right lens to make those decisions. So I think that's a great point shared. So obviously after Omnevue, moving on, where did you move to then?
So I had a very long gap in my life, which was a lot of surprises and a lot of searching what I actually want. And I ended up now in Hakluyt, which is literally 1.5 months. So I'm still fairly fresh, brand new in the company. But what really brought me here is the fact that it's another industry I've never been in. It's an advisory space, which is, on the beginning, I actually did not understand what they do. So it was interesting to learn and feel like how the tech actually even works here. It's like I couldn't understand how the tech could really, really help. And my learning was that the help here is needed less with the outside world, but more with the inside world. So a lot of things that I have now on my plate is actually, and I'm talking like 90% of it's addressing the internal tech-related challenges, building the right tools, building the right things, the right tech in the future, with the mind of where we are now and where we want to be, having also AI in mind and the data quality, which was always a challenge. But it's less of a public-facing space. So this is the space I haven't been really building like internal tools.
Yeah.
There's feels that there's a little bit different approach to it, because I don't have to worry about multiple browsers. I don't have to worry about poor internet connections, because most of the people will do it from the office and most people will do it from desktop. So I can deprioritize things I don't believe are really important at this stage.
Right.
But my role is to figure out where we are. And there are a few things, of course, I don't like in terms of the tech, and they just need to be replaced, removed, expanded, whatever we decide to do it. But also at the same time, figure out where we want to be. So have the blueprint of this is where we want to be. this is the ideal goal in the 2, 3, 5 years, and figure out between how we're going to fill the gap, how much we need to focus on hiring the right talent, what we need to build, how we're going to start slowly removing those pieces of the software that we have and replacing them with new one, how it's going to look like, how some of those things will have to work in tandem for quite a while next to each other and create a lot of headaches. It's fair enough. So it's there's going to be transition period, which I assume was going to probably like 2, 3 years.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But that also depends from my point of view. It's like, if we can deliver value very quickly, and my hope is now to deliver value in a half year, to really show, I've got one particular project in mind. If we show that we can save company millions by developing something in a half year, then I'm pretty sure I will have a lot of positive feedback and more actually possibilities to bring more of the team, hire more engineers, and really focus on delivering all the other pieces and show that we deliver value. We are not just a backend admin guys just doing some geeky tech stuff, but we actually create value for the business and improve the efficiency and, most importantly, happiness.
Yeah.
Because everybody's coming. I was laughing that I feel like a Santa Claus now just before Christmas, because all of the conversation I have, people bring their grievings and their dreams, and they want to know how I can help them. And they're all so supportive because now they know where the tech is. It works. It's stitched with the duct tape. In some of the cases, there's a manual process that should be just fully automated. And it's annoying, repetitive work in many, many places because how everything was built so far. So they're happy to share all that's on their mind and all the conversations. And if you need anything, just shout. I'm here always for you. I'm happy to help, guide you through those systems, explain you everything 10 times, because they know I'm here to enable them move faster, but also remove all their pain they have around. Yeah. And of course, that means bringing the team, bringing the correct attitude and this product or tech focus mentality into place, which never been there because the company exists for 30 years. There is no this attitude of how the tech actually even works, what that means, because practically the whole company is not tech focused. They never work closely with the software engineers. And in this context, we feel like a different breed, really. How we work, how tight we work with each other, how we connect in terms of not only the communication, but how we connect working as a team and on the projects, and how we communicate outside, which is, of course, challenge for mostly introverted people from the engineering side to communicate well outside. That's kind of a different experience, but yeah, it's a fun process.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting, isn't it? 'Cause it feels like there's quite a lot of synergy there insofar as, going in as a CTO of a startup, literally building something from the foundation upwards as a bit of a blank canvas, to where you are now going in as Hakluyt Company as a more established business, been around for 40 years. But like you said, it feels like there's a lot of value to add, a lot of areas, and it's a different type of blank canvas, but almost another kind of blank canvas, right? And I guess it's great that you're finding that there is that level of engagement and buy-in from everybody in the business. Everybody wants to move in the right direction. It feels like there's a real sense of alignment there, and but that sort of challenge, you're 6 weeks in, to that challenge at the moment, and that's what challenge going in as a CTO, or a technology leader in any business. The prioritization piece, like you said, it's a bit like a chess puzzle, isn't it? Of like, which pieces do you move when, and but I also agree with your point of it's about really understanding it through the eyes of going back to the point we were making a minute ago, I suppose, around when you choose to build things and how you choose to build them, but seeing it through the eyes of the business of what's going to deliver value. First and foremost, is that your approach then of like looking at how you prioritize things of, okay, well there's a quick win, or not quick win, but something that we could add value. It could have a really high ROI if we focus on that. And is that how you go about that whole prioritization? Just sort of talk us through your view on that.
Yeah, so we mentioned the black canvas, and the good thing is about it that it is blank canvas with some limitations. I know what we need to build because it's already there. The challenge is that nobody knows exactly how it should look like, and it can look way better. I can imagine it's going to look better. And the prioritization is I was thinking about this recently. I was explaining what is important to me in terms of the prioritization And we can have two approaches. One is we build something that is going to be very useful, build all the blocks and everything, all the base and the fundamentals that's going to serve us forever, but we're going to do it long, and people outside of the engineering team won't actually see anything for a very long time. Or we just focus on building sexy things that are probably a little bit dirty, but they will bring the value to the business straight away. And from my point of view, there's a somewhere between. So what we decided to do now at this stage, we picked one project which is going to deliver a lot of value, and not only replaces part of the process that is very expensive and annoying right now, but also will enable the whole business to use it, which is not the case now.
Okay.
And I calculate we'll save like £2 million a year or something like that, which is very, very efficient way of approaching it. And to get this, we decided we'll spend first probably around 3-4 months to be decided. So the new team is joining soon I think I just literally today agreed that's going to be from the 2nd of February. The new team is joining. I've got people from previous company joining from Omnevue, which is amazing. It's the team that is established, and we know how to work with each other from the day one. We can start building.
Difference, doesn't it? Yeah, when you kind of know each other's strengths and weaknesses from day one. Yeah,
they know how I work. I know how they work. We know about each other. We work for 1.5 years together. It's like from the day one, we don't have to build the culture. We already embedded from the day one. Fantastic. Within the company. The tools are already there. I prepared everything. All they need to know is that this is the first project. Now let's figure out what we need to build. So, but coming back to the prioritization, so I decided which is the first sexy, very efficient and very visible project, which will show that we can do amazing things in very short period of time. And to get us there, we'll spend a few extra months before building the fundamentals, but only focus on what is important. So it's a framework for the front and the back end where we will make sure that it's integrated with SSO. We've got the permission system in place, which is going to be very simple for now. We're going to have the notification system in place because those are like the 3 major elements in my head right now that needs to be built. Yeah. Once we have this all stitched and we have this standalone application deployed, we'll use all of it as those shared components and start building separate app, which is going to be this new project. And this is the idea where we actually did at Omnevue also. So the whole architecture is very similar because we've tested it where we had 5 different applications, but they were built out of the same shared core, but they're fairly independent. So when we reach a point, we have 5 teams. 5 teams can work on 5 different apps, and they won't have to worry about the conflicts. They won't have to worry about the fact that one deployment is in place and they are blocked by something else. They can work independently, deliver the code, but they work off same shared mono repo, which means everything we do at the very base automatically applies to all the applications we have. So building a little bit of this core with the infrastructure and then just adding this first app, knowing that we'll probably have to add more things in later into this framework, whether it's a front and the back end or probably both, including infrastructure growth and go beyond that.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's really great to hear. And yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me in terms of your approach to prioritization. How do you go about as a technology leader, I suppose, bringing people on that journey with you? Obviously, when we're talking about leading transformation, we're talking about picking the right battles. How do you go about non-technical stakeholder? I'm not necessarily saying it's in Hacklet, but non-technical stakeholders where there is potentially initially an element of skepticism about investing in technology. How do you go about that approach of bringing maybe non-technical stakeholders? It sounds like you've got a lot of engagement from your team specifically around where the technology is at the moment. But yeah, how do you go about engaging them and sort of bringing them on the journey with you?
Mm-hmm. So the most important part for me out of it is making sure that they are part of it.
Yeah.
So they're embedded in the process. So they don't feel excluded. They feel they are building something with the team, with engineering side, with the product, with engineering. So we listen, first of all, have the constant conversation and use their knowledge because we are building things they already know how to use. They know what are the pain points. They know where we would like to be. So my role is to figure out what are the pain points, address the pain. This is really where the change happens, is address the pain and then ensure that the pain is going to be solved and is going to disappear, and they don't have to waste 3 hours every week on doing something that is just should never ever happen, but happens now. So addressing the pain is always the priority. With this, absolutely everybody will see the benefit. The people who are actually doing it, but also their management, the leadership will see that if we can save literally every employee's 5 or 10% of time just dealing with the irrelevant tech, it's very easy to just attach dollars to it and see what does it mean for 200, 300 employees. That calculates to millions just on the basis of the 10%. So that's probably 5 years from now, but that's kind of the baseline of it. But also this is the opportunity for everybody to get involved of what they would like it to be and have this conversation. And with this new project we're particularly working, I actually engage with 3 groups who are working in this area, and I literally talk to them every week to show them the progress, have conversation, ask weird questions just to figure out, ask how they're using it now, what else they can tell me they didn't say that will be somehow can fit into requirements of the project. So now at the moment I'm literally doing the product work. I'm not doing engineering work at the moment. I'm doing product. We have a new product person joining soon, so hoping he will take over some of this stuff. But while this is happening, I'm trying to figure out how we can literally bring the value as soon as possible. And with that, not go with the big bang of, in a year time, we'll build this amazing app for you. No, this particular one is already split into 3 stages, hoping that the first stage will come very, very quickly, just to literally provide the baseline of what we're doing now in a more meaningful and consistent way. But on top of that, I already have planned for the stage 2 and stage 3. And that will then depend on the priority, how much we need to expand it, or maybe we have to focus on something else, replacing some of the systems we have already, in the company that create a lot of headaches. But I think if there's nothing, we always focus on creating value, how we can bring value. If there's a lot of things that don't work well, it's focusing on the pain, which brings value, which then allow us to build more new, faster and cooler.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's, from my experience, a lot of the better technology leaders are those that are able to, I guess, be that kind of chameleon and that sort of conduit between the business and the technical, where you're able to talk in their language, right, and understand how it resonates with them, how what you're building, like I say, addresses their pain, because fundamentally, without sounding too callous, that's what most people are interested in, isn't it, right? That's
Exactly.
They'll do things that they know are going to affect them directly, and they won't do things they don't. So yeah, I think that's a great point. So you mentioned earlier, so you've obviously got a great situation now where you've got a number of people that have worked together, kind of joining the team. So you've already got that bond and that ability, like say, you understand each other's ways of working and strengths and weaknesses, etc. Do you have a view on how you structure a team in general? You talked a little bit earlier about, not operating in a methodology of rigid Scrum, but maybe more of a Kanban sort of type methodology. But do you have a particular view on how you structure an engineering division in terms of a ratio of X number of engineers, Y number of QA? What's your thoughts on how you structure a team for success?
The answer is, as always, it depends. But I've got a good template that evolved back from Yale, where we built cross-functional teams, and those teams were very efficient, mostly because of the flexibility and the empowerment they were getting. And my approach to is keeping the team small, first of all. That worked through Omnevue, that worked through Yale, and Discovery. Also, we having teams which were 10 engineers, we went down to having tiny teams of 2-3 engineers. But my ideal kind of numbers are around 3-4 engineers per team. The product person very often is split by different teams. If there's, of course, more teams, designer also usually covers few teams. I'm against hiring dedicated QA team for a very long time. There might be at some point a need, but I think it's engineers' responsibility to provide quality, not just throw it through the fence and ask somebody else to ensure that the quality is there. No, it's engineering's role. I think the QA persons become, when they hired with the slightly larger team, they become more of an, I want to say, QA architects, where they guide, they provide tooling, they provide guidance, they make sure the things that should supposed to be covered are covered, and there are the people who are signing on tests, but engineers are still doing all the test automation and everything.
Yeah.
So trying to put literally all the responsibility on the engineers to provide quality. They're building it. They should be able to provide quality. And it's not responsible of one person. It's responsible of the whole team, which goes into code reviews and all the processes around how to deliver quality. I like to get teams working in the Scrum Bun mix, but this again comes from the Yale experience and developed throughout the time, where I usually do as a template weekly cycles. We get a default board with some overall understanding how often we run stand-ups, planning, and retros, if that's relevant. But it's for the team to decide exactly what they want to do. If they feel something doesn't serve their purpose, the purpose what they're building, just change it. Because while my focus is very often on the front-end related stuff, which requires a lot of iteration, conversation, the things change, and weekly cycles make sense, where we're working with the data or infrastructure, probably 2 weeks is absolutely fine. I probably wouldn't go beyond 2 weeks. I see no value in going there. But it's for the team to decide. If they can spot inefficiency in their process, how they work, and they have reasonably good idea how to solve it, and they agree on it, they should just do it. There's no question asked. Hopefully they don't want to change the software we use for managing the ticket. So that's probably one of the things that's a limitation. But if you want to do weekly, you want to do 2 weekly cycles, it's up to you. If you want to do plannings more often, it's like just you guys decide. If you don't want to do plannings at all, that's fine. But what is the solution?
Yeah.
And so giving the flexibility team to decide, because then they will switch teams, they will work on different projects, and then again, they can develop their own different flavor of a style. But roughly we work from the same template, and most of the cases, engineers don't want to change it. Occasionally, they will change small details. So giving the template, giving the flexibility. And one thing I personally really hate, I can say word hate here, is when the engineering structure, so the reporting lines and how the team is not from the agile perspective, but more of the management side is organized. I really don't think that putting engineering managers as managers of the agile teams is a good idea. And only because I heard so many horror stories. And I remember one particular when one engineer said that he needs a lot of new things to be really engaged and really work on the project. And because he's in an agile team, he's got direct report to one manager. And in 2 years, he had 5 different managers. And I thought, it's like, if I was him, I would probably leave already by then.
Yeah.
But because the structure, the reporting lines were forcing people in agile teams to report to particular manager, if they don't feel fulfilled in this team, if somebody's working 4 years on payment gateways and stuff like that, at some point they might get bored. And now for them to change the team means changing the manager and unlinking their relationship and really taking part of the reputation out of this team and taking it somewhere else and building it again from scratch. Or even if they know each other, there's going to be part of it happening. So not connecting the structure with the agile ways and the teams and the product and the streams of work makes a lot of sense, because then very easy is to take anybody from the team. It's like, okay, guys, there's 5 of you. You finished everything you're supposed to finish. You're just cooling down for the next 2 months, delivering the last pieces. We can take 2 out of you and start working on a new project. And we can just literally within a week, just move them to a new team.
Yeah.
And they start focusing on a new place while this team is finishing the project they were working on. And gives this flexibility from leadership point of view, but also in the teams, very often they will find each other in a different way. That, I'm a little bit bored now because I'm waiting for something. I can spend 2 weeks in another team and just help them out because they really need help in the area I really know. And they can easily shift focus. And it usually doesn't have to happen with anybody's approval. The engineers will come. It's like, I saw the problem. I'm happy to do it. Do you mind? Nope, go for it. Done. There's no, red tape or challenge. And everybody just enjoy helping each other. So it creates the culture of help and being responsible collectively as whatever they're building, and not just everybody working the silos. Like, their problem is not my problem, so I don't care because I have to now talk to my boss to even try to help them out. So I'm just not doing it. And I saw a lot of silencing like that when those two things are connected.
Right, I see. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like your approach to me really resonates as a, very balanced, kind of pragmatic view of giving people a structure, but a flexible structure, which ultimately allows people to move quickly and, like you say, work autonomously, where you're giving people that sense of ownership and freedom, but doing it in a way that still has the safeguards, still have the ways that you ensure in the quality, and yeah, I mean, to me it makes a hell of a lot of sense, and I can see how a lot of the better engineers that I've certainly worked with over the years would love to work in that type of culture and that type of environment. So yeah, I guess that's the advantage of having come through that route as an engineer yourself in previous years, being able to kind of replicate that for people, probably things that you respect and you would wanted, right, as an engineer. But no, an interesting point you mentioned about the engineering management as well, looking after maybe that being a little bit prohibitive. So yeah, and you spoke a little bit earlier about how you taught yourself to code, and interested to get a bit of an insight into your mindset as a leader now. So given that you kind of had that self-learning mindset in the past, how do you think that's kind of shaped your leadership style, and how do you aim to embed that mentality into the teams that you build?
So yes, I said earlier that the coding part, literally everything I've been doing in my professional life comes from self-learning, including the leadership, but it comes from the opportunities I could do it. I had the flexibility to do it. I was encouraged to take an action. And when I raised something, I felt it doesn't suit the team, the company, the product, I had an opportunity to actually do something about it, suggest a solution, and actually lead the solution. So I think this is how I developed my confidence and leadership skills to move out and say, I don't think that works. This is what we can do. And just end up in a situation where things are being picked up by that. Actually, I'm doing those things, or I'm leading those things. So just having the confidence, that helped me to grow the confidence. And I think the management that was above me was very important, actually even allow me to do it. And moving forward, so this is the same thing I encourage in teams. If you see something doesn't work, provide viable solution. And if it is viable solution, just go and do it. And it goes beyond that, things like hackathon or things like that, where I believe most of the ideas, amazing ideas, comes from the engineers or from the teams fighting the battles every single day, and they can bring value. They're rarely listened. So things like hackathon helps to just bring those amazing ideas. And I remember at TL what we did, we did something like that, and one of the teams came up with a product around chat with customers to create a custom chat between customers and merchants. This was just a rough idea built in 2 days to show on, I think it was an iOS platform. It became actually a real project, and the team that came with an idea, they led the project and became for iOS, Android, and web. I was actually doing all the web part on this project, and it really brought a lot of value. Wow. This idea wouldn't happen if the team couldn't show that in 2 days they built a very nice proof concept showing that this is what we can do. It was really, something was deprioritized just to get this thing in. Really quickly shaped, took over. It was a priority, delivered in a few months. Wow. Perfect.
And that was off back of a hackathon, was it?
Yeah, and was just on back of that. There were some other projects, of course, but this was like the biggest one and the most prominent that really, I believe, made a difference.
That's really cool. Yeah.
And I always encourage teams, and it's not beyond the coding, but if you see something doesn't work, first of all, say it and suggest how you want to change it. What do you think is the right change? It's important for me to challenge team to lead. And the best example I had was from Discovery, where we were picking up new project for design system across iOS, Android, and web, which is a big thing to do, try to align all those platforms together. We created a team of 4 engineers. 2 of them had like 15, 20 years of experience, like a very experienced team. But the person who was leading the team, she was, I think, back then 26, with only 3 years of experience in iOS development. And I saw huge potential in her. And I said, I think you should lead the team. Of course, she was horrified, working with guys like that, 15 years of experience. It doesn't matter. You have the right attitude, right mental space to actually lead the team. And my role is to help you out behind the scenes. You are the face of the team. you officially make decisions. If there's anything you struggle with and you need my help, you need me actually to do something for you because you just can't do it, guide you with something or just explain, whether it's a technical or non-technical, technical particularly here because I've done like 3 design systems in my life. So I know exactly what needs to be done and what to think about. But whatever that is, just come to me and I'll make time for you because I want you to succeed. And I remember when they finished after 3 months the whole project, like the first part of the project, it has to be shown to the tech leadership at Discovery, going to CTO, which, by the way, I've never met. And my back then manager asked me to join the meeting to present it. And I said, no, it's not my job. It's hers. She did it as part of the team. I think she should present it unless she says she don't want to do it because she's so scared so much. I'm happy to do it, but I think it's her role to do it.
Yeah.
It ended up that I didn't even join the meeting. I did not see value for me just to join. And she did an amazing job presenting it. And she got the exposure outside in the whole company, the whole organization, which I felt like this was my goal. So my responsibility is to show and encourage others to take the leadership responsibilities, especially when I see a value and they're just a little bit scared of doing it.
Yeah.
Which is often the case.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a great hallmark, isn't it, of a leader that, it's not about delegation for the sake of delegation, but it really empowers somebody and it helps grow. The people remember that, don't they? They remember when they're given an opportunity, for the right reasons. So yeah, I think it's a really strong traits to have as a leader. We've spoken a little bit about kind of attitude, I suppose, of some of the people that you look for, but when it comes to building teams, hiring into your teams, are there any other particular unifying attributes or characteristics or qualities that you look for in the people that you hire, irrespective of the role, whether it's an engineer or a sport professional or whatever it may be?
Except, of course, the typical technical stuff, which is important, which I check as a second thing.
Okay.
I don't check on the day. On the first questions are never technical. Okay. It's something I always believe that if somebody has gaps on the technology side, it's easy to learn. But if somebody is a bad person, there's unlikely I can do anything about it, or it's going to be worth investing time. So for me, it's very important to understand their personality of a person, of the candidate, have that deep conversation. And I'm focusing on quite few things, but first of all is self-awareness. I want to know if a person understands the impact they create, how they're seen by others. Do they understand their weaknesses? And it's not the typical weakness of I work too hard. That's of course a fake weakness, but actually understanding where they have gaps and what they need to actually move forward or make themselves better, and where they need help to move beyond of where they are so they can grow. So that's one thing. The other thing which I really like during the interviews is there's those personality trait. The acronym is OCEAN. So measuring openness, conscientiousness, extrovertism, agreeableness, and neuroticism. I have a bunch of questions for each one of them to figure out where people sit. And it's not that there's whether somebody's high or low that makes any difference, but for me, it gives the context of a person, which then becomes very important during the technical conversations. Because if I know somebody feels like they score very low on openness, which would be the creative trait, they score very low, there's a very big chance that they are not keen to adapt and are not keen to learn much. Yeah. When we have a technical conversation, if we of course got that far, we have a technical conversation, I can now challenge this and verify if that's the case, because it might be in particular cases I ask, it might be not on the technical side. Yeah. 90% of the cases they match and they overlap, which makes things easier. But it helps me to verify. And now I know if this person speaks about this particular topic in this way, it might come from there, and I can just verify whether it's connected or there's something else I should ask and explore beyond of what I see when they explain the code or how they work on projects and how they solve problems or how they interacted with others. And then it becomes questions about introvertism, extrovertism, how they interact with people, how they solve challenges, or when they go into conflicts especially. Yeah. So all those things initially help to paint a bigger picture, which then every next question becomes a little bit more clear with the context that has been built on the beginning. So those are the things for me. The keenness to learn, and self-awareness are like two things that I really care about.
Yeah.
And the ocean is just kind of to give me the compass, maybe.
Yeah.
By the way of phrasing it, to how everything else fits into the picture.
Yeah.
And then I know how those people fit in the team, because we don't want a team that is full of creative, open extroverts. We don't want the team to be absolutely on the opposite side. We want to balance this. And when I hire somebody, I likely know what their skills are needed, where they're going to sit, and I know what most of the people they will interact with.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, I can see, okay, this team is very creative and very open. I need somebody who's very conscientious, very focused, like very structured, because the team is missing a little bit this structure. Let's bring this person to bring the balance across the whole team. And it becomes more of a finding the, what you'd call them, I missed the word now. Never mind. We can cut this off.
But I
Yeah.
love that approach. It makes so much sense to me. And over recent months, I've become really obsessed with the idea of team and how teams are structured and how they're put together. And I think your approach that you're describing there, again, it really resonates with me insofar as you're taking a consistent approach to how you're evaluating people. But also, like you said, it's not necessarily to say just because somebody scores high and you're not looking for a cookie cutter to say everybody needs to be the same, but you are understanding the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle and then how those fit together. And I think the fact you're doing that and also prioritizing that before looking at the technical skills, which of course, as you've mentioned, are important in the world that we live in, but before even assessing that, you're going through that filtration system of looking at the personality attributes, the traits, and taking just much more of a data-driven approach to how you put teams together, which I think is one of the key ways you can really build on solid foundations. And hopefully you build high-performing teams, which increases retention, which means you can further scale what you're building. So I think it's a very smart and intelligent way to go about looking at building a team.
Yeah, it's all about building the balance in the team and knowing where we are and what we are missing. So it's, as you said, not everybody's the same. That doesn't work. We don't want everybody to be absolutely on the opposite sides. We want something between. And it goes beyond as simple things as seniority of engineers. Some companies go only with seniors. That's bad. They go with juniors. That's bad. There's enough work for absolutely everybody. And now even in the AI era where people say that juniors are obsolete, I think that's just not true. Simply not true. There's always work for all levels. And especially with juniors, they are very keen to take up very boring work for a senior, but for them it's new, exciting, and challenging. And this really finding also the balance in seniority, finding the balance in the personality, finding the balance in the technology or the depthness or deepness of in the areas they're focusing.
Yeah.
And just finding how new person will fit into the bigger picture and not just bringing another amazing engineer who's on this own is just mind-blowing and is the person we want to work, joins the team and there's just no vibe, no connection. They go all on their own. It's like being mindful of those things. And part of the process for me is making sure that the team is involved in the interview process, which is more of a meet and greet kind of situation. But a person who's joining the company can see the team and see who they will be working with. Yeah. And the engineers in the team can see who will be coming. And before this person even joins and start doing any coding, they already create a little bit of a connection and they hopefully spend half hour just chatting about random things. It's not a tech interview, just feeling the vibe. Literally, that's just about the social part of it. Yeah. That makes a huge difference.
It's two-way street, isn't it? Yeah.
And in most of the interviews I've experienced throughout my life through being hiring and being hired, the social part doesn't exist. But I always ask, I want to talk to the team. It's like, if I get to the end, before I sign anything, I want to talk to the team and just meet them and literally just say hi.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in this day and age as well, especially in more of a remote setting, it's so important, isn't it, still to know that, and also agree that it allows people to hit the ground running and probably bed in quicker once they, feel like they already have made some connections within the business even before they step foot through the door on day one. Like I said, I think it's a two-way street, and it's something that a lot of companies still, in my opinion, don't get quite right. They still look at it like, well, you'd be very lucky to come and work for us, and I'm sure they would be. But in the same breath, you've got to obviously do what you can to attract yourself to people as well. So, well, look, Andrew, really, really enjoyed that conversation today. You have definitely shared a lot of value, and I like to draw to a close every episode. You may know by now by asking the same question. If you would please indulge my repetitiveness, but what would you say is your one favorite piece of advice that you've received throughout your career that's stuck with you for the journey that you would pass on to your fellow human?
It's funny because it's not coming from the career point.
Cool.
Side,
Even better.
but it's a advice from a very smart person who told me, if you don't want to do something, you probably should do it. So if we are postponing something, delaying, avoiding it throughout the time, we're scared of it, but there is no real danger. We're actually not putting our life on the line, or health, or any like critical important things. You probably should do it. Just go for it, because that means we live in comfort zone, and there's big learning on the other side, and it's definitely scary. And I started really, especially throughout this year, but also last year, applying this rule very often, and that literally changed my life. And from simple things of owning house, living in a house, enjoying it for the 10 years, living in a really nice place, and having a dream. I actually want to have a water view. And I decided to sell the house and rent a house at the lake on the other side, basically, of UK, and just move there. And people ask me, like, that doesn't sound reasonable. I said, it's not about reasonable. It's what I wanted to do. When I'm going to do when I'm 70, I can do it now. And if that doesn't work, which we didn't, after half a year I moved out from there, fine. But I know what it was, how it felt, and it was scary just to sell a house. I lived in for 10 years and I loved it. And moved out of area which I knew for 20 years to move to area where I knew nothing about, like literally. I really enjoyed the process. It was scary. And then I had to move again to another place, which was another scary bit, but it was actually required and it felt much easier. And it's the same, I would say, at work. Sometimes there are things, especially when I said, if you see something that we're doing wrong, we can do better. It might be scary to just speak up, but it's better to speak up and just hear that, that we won't do it, but at least we try to do something. And we get hit like that few times where all our ideas is basically removed out of context and nobody wants to do anything about it. Maybe there's a point to move to another company or change the role.
Yeah, I think a fantastic way to end, and I couldn't agree more. That as you progress as a leader, one of the traits that I really subscribe to is just keep taking yourself on. And like you say, learning is a journey, it's not a destination. And so many people I speak to in the world of recruitment that have maybe lost their mojo a little bit is because they feel that their role is just really stagnating and that there isn't those new challenges. And it's, as much as it can feel safe, like you said, and you're not necessarily scared of what's around the corner, just that growth element, like you said, on the other side of it, there's a lot of riches to be had if you're prepared to just push yourself outside the comfort zone and be a bit braver. And I think it's something we all fall into the trap of as we get older and more experienced, and we think we know what we're doing, and we probably do know what we're doing, but there's always more to learn, right? So I think that's a fantastic way to draw to a close. So thanks again for coming and speak with us. And Hakluyt and Company, I can see big things on the horizon for what you guys are doing there. So do come back in again, have another chat with us at some point. We'd love to hear from you again.
Awesome. Thank you very much.